And now, your weather authority.
Good Tuesday night, good rainy Tuesday night across the Gulf Coast. Rain continues all across Mississippi and into southern parts of Louisiana as well. And then if you go east, you'll find rain in parts of Alabama and the panhandle of Florida. So the whole southeastern U.S., at least the southern parts, seeing that rainfall tonight. As for the Mississippi Gulf Coast, this is a view from the Golden Nugget, courtesy of that J. Allen Mazda tower camera. And you can see it's slick out there and will continue to be that way at least overnight into tomorrow. We've seen quite a bit of rainfall throughout the day today, so even if we weren't getting that rainfall now, it would still be slick and wet out there. Temperatures not much different than 30 minutes to an hour ago. Not a large temperature gradient across the area tonight either. We're actually seeing temperatures 1 to 2 degrees in difference between the southern parts of our viewing area and the northern part. As for those winds right now, the winds are coming out of the northeast this evening. Of course, the eastern side of the viewing area is seeing the strongest of wind, and that's because the low pressure system is tracking more towards the east, and it's actually farther south than we initially anticipated. That's the low pressure that we've been referring to over the past few days, and we'll see that in just a moment on the surface map. As for that low pressure, one of the effects it will have across the Mississippi Gulf Coast and the panhandle of Florida is the winds and the wind gusts. These are wind gusts rather than sustained winds, and a wind gust across the Mississippi Gulf Coast areas like Bay St. Louis, Biloxi could see above 40 miles per hour in winds tomorrow, at times gusty winds. But pay attention to the Florida Gulf Coast as we move into the latter half of Thursday and Friday. The reason I say that is because that was an indicator to us that the low pressure system was going to stay further south and make it over to the panhandle of Florida when you start seeing 55, 60 mile per hour wind gusts there. Regardless, here that means lower wind, or a little bit lower winds at times actually for us, but actually lower rain totals and a little bit less of a flood threat. As for this evening, rainfall continues. Precipitation continues as well in the form of rainfall all night with those showers and those winds alongside that from the northeast. Let's take a look, courtesy of the satellite and radar imagery. Now, this close-up view of the Mississippi Power Doppler has been kind of jacked up this evening, but the overall scope of the viewing area is seeing rainfall from the western side all the way to the eastern side. But those drought conditions across the area, this is the worst shade that the drought monitor goes, labeled as exceptional, and then this side labeled as extreme. But as we continue into the rest of the night, we'll continue to get that rainfall. And remember, this is the drought monitor that updates every week to week and a half. So we'll see in a couple days where we sit. I'd be willing to bet after this rainfall, we'd at least get a bit of improvement. Here's a look at the wider view I was referring to. This is the whole scope of rainfall across the area. Widespread light and moderate rainfall on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Heavier showers to the north and west for parts of southeastern Mississippi or southwestern Mississippi. They're seeing the heaviest of rainfall. Southeastern Mississippi seeing those light and moderate showers. So regardless, the whole Gulf Coast seeing that rainfall tonight as well. The flood warnings across the coast you see there in the dark green, and then the lighter green is the small craft advisory and the coastal flood advisory as well. Here's the current setup, that surface analysis and the low pressure system I was referring to. Notice how it's a little bit farther south than we saw yesterday, but add in that 7-day forecast, and the good news for you, two good things and a win-win, is the cloud cover diminishes, as does the rain. Rainfall continues at this hour and will continue alongside the evening as it turns into night. Firstly, I want to give you a widespread look at the radar, satellite radar imagery, courtesy of Mississippi Power Doppler here. And then I want to kind of explain what's going on here, watches and warnings wise, but wanted to give you that widespread view of the whole radar so you can kind of get the whole picture there. But here's a look at the current warning that's in place. Got this graphic on there for you because this one's a little bit more explanatory than just the flat out word of mouth here, but you can see kind of most of the information is on the right side of the screen, so I'll move to this side of the screen and let you get a quick look at that. But the Mississippi Gulf Coast is all included in this particular section, and the counties that aren't and the areas that aren't are included in the coastal flood advisory. Now, this particular product is a coastal flood warning for the majority of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, but the good news is that most of the rainfall we were expecting to be heavy is either a little bit lighter or weaker than expected, and that's due to that low pressure I mentioned earlier, and it's more southerly track. So some areas, especially the eastern facing shorelines, could see flooding still a concern, but definitely not an overall widespread coastal flooding event across the area, but we still could see some across low-lying areas and eastern facing shorelines. This low pressure here is what I've been referring to over the past few days. It's gone more southerly in track and stays farther south rather than moving to the north. Had it moved further to the north, we'd be looking at more of a flood threat here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. But nevertheless, it's a win-lose once again for us, like I mentioned multiple times. A win because we're in such extreme drought conditions, but a lose because we are in drought conditions, but we're getting a lot of this rainfall somewhat at once. But as the stationary boundary eventually moves further to the north, we'll get more rainfall as the front looks to occlude, and as we continue into the rest of the week, we lose those clouds and we lose the rainfall. That's win-win.
Yeah, I think so too. Definitely a win-win. Thanks, Trey. Xbox has some sweet new controllers, and by sweet we mean edible.
I wouldn't eat mine. My hands are sweaty.
This one is made of pure chocolate. It's part of Xbox's partnership with Warner Brothers Entertainment for a giveaway to promote the upcoming Wonka film. In addition to the 100% pure chocolate controller, the winner gets a Wonka-inspired Series X game console, a real controller that's burgundy, inspired by Willy Wonka's coat, and 5 chocolate truffles. Just 5?
Really?
Really?
Interesting.
Interesting.
And I'm not an Xbox guy, so.
I'm not either.
PlayStation.
Yeah, same here. You can enter to win by following Xbox Twitter and retweeting the official sweepstakes post. The giveaway runs through December 14th. If you win this, let us know.
Yeah, please. And
I
then we'll
love
both
when
beat
people,
you.
yeah, I love when people win stuff. So please let us know.
Do it.